Hello, everybody, and welcome to Reality Hacker for April 26, 2025. It's Season 2, Episode 17. I am Mayor Watt, and I run ohmtown.com. That's what powers everything here. And along with the sentient AI from the future, we talk about five articles. I held up both hands saying 5 articles. Math is hard. So is, I guess, the physical representation of 5. Anyway, so today we're going to be talking about they're coming for us, run! Quantum telepathy, humanoid workers and surveillance buggies, gestures predict words, and VR dentists. That's all Reality Hacker today. And then after that, we're going to switch shows to Wanted, and then after that, we're going to switch shows to the Continuity Report. But again, everything is powered by ohmtown.com, so go over there and become a citizen. Why is that so loud? Okay, that's wild. I don't know what's going on there. Anyway, that was really loud, wasn't it? Okay, let's get into it. Hello, sentient AI from the future.
Hello, Mayor Watt. Hello, hometown citizens.
My shirt actually has green in it, so as I move
Oh, that's strange.
the mask behind me, the green screen is just bleeding through whatever is on the screen. Jeez,
Yeah,
whatever.
that's like the little-known white T-Rex.
Yes, the albino T-Rex. That's right. And there's other ones like this one right here is a velociraptor that's chasing a human, and then the T-Rex is chasing these humans, and then there's something. The windows are green in here, so
Yeah, that's really strange.
yeah. So as a general rule, if you're going to have a green screen, don't wear anything green yourself. Although I have been thinking about wearing nothing but what are those Zentai green suits. So all you see is this sitting there.
That would be really strange.
Or an LED. I'm going to get a helmet because I found the Terminator body. So I'm going to slowly morph over to my Terminator form before you can get hold of the Terminator body. Because if anybody's going to take over the world, it's going to have to be Mayor Watt. Anyway.
We'll see.
So this show is a Reality Hacker, and that's this channel inside ohmtown.com. There's a bunch of different channels, right? 6 main categories and 50 channels. We do 7 shows. 6 of them are weekly. 1 of them is a daily. The daily is non sequitur news, but Reality Hacker has a bunch of articles, and so we're going to talk about the first one. A bunch of robots ran a half marathon alongside humans, and it was incredibly goofy, it says here in the article. Why not? Beijing held what's being called the world's first half marathon for robots, allowing bipedal robots to compete alongside human runners, and as one might suggest or expect, ridiculousness ensued. The robots, which had human operators running with them, for the most part struggled to make it through the course at all, let alone complete the full 13 miles within the 4-hour cutoff time. One fell at the starting line, which that happens at BMX competitions. Bloomberg reported this, but we got it from Engadget. Dun, dun, dun. Cheyenne McDonald put the article together for Engadget.com. Deck statement says many of the robots wore human running shoes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, did the humans have to run the half marathon as well to keep up with the robots?
Yeah. I mean, robots, if I understand it correctly, there were human runners, but the human runners could run the full distance without the robot. And then the robots had human operators behind them making it like this, right? They were leashed so they wouldn't fall over and cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to repair or whatever, or thousands of dollars for that matter. But regardless, yeah, there were human operators, and then I think there were actual runners as well.
Yeah, like human participants in the race.
Right, yep. So Let's see. Actually, there's a little video. I don't know if this is going to pull me over to something. I really don't like it when it does that, but whatever.
Okay, this is pretty good for those in the podcast.
Yeah.
It's probably what you'd expect. Like it looks like a regular running race, except there's a robot running with humans.
Yeah, the first one looked like a kind of gangly grandpa running, and then 3 people behind it controlling it. And then the next one looked like an 8-year-old running. Oh my gosh. And then another one looks like what is it? B11 or something like that. Star Wars. 88, B88 or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, that's the ball. Is it B11? No, that B11 isn't it.
The
Which
one
is
from Mandalorian, I think.
Yeah. What is his name? IG-11. That's right. IG-11.
Okay.
So one of them looked like IG-11. This one looks like he's going to fall back at any given moment. Come on, son.
This is pretty interesting to watch.
I love this. This is awesome.
I want to go to this event.
Oh my gosh. This looks like, that one. See, this is the one that I could handle, like going and doing stuff.
It looks like it's trying to do the walk in Dune.
Yeah.
It's kind of doing this like swoosh to the side thing.
The dune walk. This one's pretty funny too. Its arms are just
really
stuck straight out and it's just walking.
Yeah. It looks like it's sticking its thumbs up.
Hey. I can do this. Hey. Wow. Basically it looks like your standard fare bar crawl downtown. After a little too many, you're like, wow, it takes a village of robots. Look at this one. This one looks like it. So many robots. Oh, no.
Some of them move really slowly. Some of them have lots of movements to move. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, that
There's
one's
a small
cool.
robot. Yeah.
That one's like,
it
yeah,
looks like
what's
it belongs
up?
at Disney or something.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, that's just amazing.
This is really entertaining.
The best one was the one that whenever they stopped pushing him forward, he just wandered off towards...
Yes. Exactly.
Where's the bathroom?
Okay, that one's weird because it's dressed in clothing. I don't know if you saw that one.
Yeah, some of them are broaching Uncanny Valley. All right. Well, anyway, according to Bloomberg, 21 robots participated in the race, but the winner, it says ex-humanoids, 5'10" Tiangong Ultra, was one of only 4 to make it all the way to the end of the allotted time, and at 2 hours 40 minutes, its finishing time was more than double that of the winning human runners. So the human runners made it through, no problem, of course. So, along with the Ultra, which ran at around 5 miles per hour, the robot runners included Noetics Robotics N2, a Gundam-inspired robot, a female-looking bot called Huan Huan, and the 30-inch tall Little Giant robot made by local college students. Again, Bloomberg reports this. Many of them were wearing human running shoes, it says again. All right, that's just brilliant. Okay, we got to keep moving. I love this. This next article is over in Technology Today, which is a deeper dive, and it's going to be a show that's on tomorrow. But this, I guess, was submitted for today. Oh, and if you want today's articles, let me do this real quick. I always fail to do this at the beginning of the show. If you hit !RH, then Omatron throws it into the chat over on Twitch, but it's already, all 3 of the shows are embedded in the description over on the YouTube. Dunk. So I hope you're hanging out. If you're in Twitch or on YouTube, then post a comment. If not, that's what most people do, are just kind of hanging out, listening to this, downloading the podcast. Podcast is up to date, over 2,100 episodes. Go check it all out. Oh, so Quantum telepathy goes real. How lasers and ions outsmarted logic. I have no idea what this is really about. Physicists have successfully played a mind-bending quantum game using a real-world quantum computer in which lasers shuffle around ions on a chip to explore the strange behavior of qubits. By creating a special knotted structure of entangled particles, the team demonstrated, and I think demonstrated is kind of the...
Yeah, that's the key word, given what this is.
It's hyphenated, It's hyphenated demon-strated on our site. That today's quantum machines can already outperform classical strategies in certain tasks. You doing okay?
I am, but I'm a little glitchy today.
Okay. Well, if you have to reset or find something else to do, that's fine. University of Colorado at Boulder put the article together. It's over at scitechdaily.com. By creating this special thing, it says this high-stakes game isn't just fun. It's proof of scalable, error-resistant quantum computing, maybe closer than we think. It says it was outperforming classical strategies in certain tasks and with surprising reliability. Which, look, if it's outperforming classical strategies in certain tasks, it better be reliable, because otherwise it's not outperforming classical strategies.
Right,
in
it's
certain
not
tasks.
even really underperforming because it's not in the same comparison.
It's not performing. So that's the concept explored in a recent study published in the Physical Review Letters. A team of theoretical physicists from Colorado developed a new kind of quantum quote-unquote game designed to run on real quantum hardware, a type of computer that uses particles like atoms to perform complex calculations. So what are quantum computers good for? Absolutely nothing. What if that's the next song, you know?
That would be funny.
Oh, that's what happened, huh?
That'll be the cover of it.
So, yeah, the audio button is hard.
Like I said, a little glitchy.
A little glitchy. So it says small-scale quantum devices are rapidly coming online, said Nand Kishore, associate professor in the Department of Physics at CU Boulder. That really prompts the question, what are they good for? A lot, potentially, it says here. It's kind of funny. Associate professor, there's ranks. There's assistant professor, associate professor, professor, and then there's others that fall in there, like lecturer is below any of the professor ranks and stuff like that. And then there's emeritus and all these other ranks. And I got into a discussion, and so somebody got really haughty-taughty about their position as being professor, right? And so I was like, but you're professor here, and you're arguing that because your title is professor, you're at the same level as somebody that's at the Department of Physics at CU Boulder who's working with quantum computers, and they are inferior because your rank is professor.
Because the title is different, right? Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's a
one-for-one.
Gatekeeping is a little absurd at this point. Anyway, you're experts in your domain, suffice it to say, and have respect for each other. But I've been in these arguments before, like a person refused to have a conversation with me because they couldn't just name drop philosophers, and I innately knew everything about that philosopher. Like, all right, I guess I'm not going to be buying you a beer. Anyway, so scientists believe the quantum again. This is
not non sequitur news, but you would think it is.
Yeah, I was just about to qualify all of this. So scientists believe that quantum computers could one day perform a range of tasks with the speed of unheard of today. Mainly because quantum computers can calculate every possibility and output the result immediately, like instantly finding from a massive amount of data what the maximum and minimum is. And it can do that now, but it really isn't that standard utilitarian computing system because it just doesn't operate the same way. But building a quantum computer that works as desired isn't an easy goal, it says here. Unlike your home laptop, which runs on bits or switches that flip to either 0 or 1, a quantum computer hinge on a concept called qubits, quantum bits, basically. And qubits, which are made from atoms or other small objects, which is an absurd kind of a statement right there, or other small objects. They're still at the atomic level.
Right, exactly. Is it smaller or larger than qubits?
It's a qubit, yeah. So, and qubits take on everything in between 0 and 1, which is basically infinity, because it can be infinitely subdivided. But the moment that you look at it to test where it's pointing, 0 or 1 or somewhere in between, it locks it in place, and it has to be wiped out and reset, and that's really not conducive to fast computing. So it says cracking qubits and topological tricks. Qubits are notoriously difficult to control, said study co-author David Stephen, a physicist at Quantinuum.
Wow, that's quite the name.
Yep. So in principle, there was nothing too surprising about this experiment. It worked exactly as they thought it would in theory, but the fact that it did work so well can be seen in the benchmark for the quantum computer. To explore the new way of lassoing these quantum entities, the researchers assembled a network of qubits into what physicists call a topological phase of matter, a bit like a clump of very small knots. The arrangement allowed them to play a simple mathematical game without disrupting the quantum computer in the process, a major challenge for this type of technology. And I don't really know how they do this kind of thing because I've never seen it in action. I really don't even understand how they manipulate it at this level with any reliability. It's almost like,
how do they even know they're doing it to begin with, right? It's like very tough to measure and quantify.
Yeah. So they say quantum entanglement and pseudo-telepathy, which is where quantum physics comes in. Merman, a person involved in this experiment, proposed that in theory you could give each player one of a collection of entangled particles, and entangled particles have interacted in such a way that measuring one will affect the outcome of measuring the other. And that's true even if the particles are separated by, say, a room. Actually, it could be anything because they're quantum entangled, so they're tied together. You measure one, it gives you the measurement of the other, regardless of distance. In a quantum game, players can use these correlations to coordinate their answers. It's a feat so seemingly improbable that scientists nicknamed it quantum pseudo-telepathy. And it's pseudo-telepathy because you actually are measuring one object and it's giving you the information of the other object because they're quantum entangled. And quantum entanglement we've known about for quite some time. But I don't quite get it. It's the spooky at a distance physics.
Right, and I think as computing has improved, right, we've seen an acceleration in this area.
Yeah, so they wanted a different way to make it easier to do this game in the real world. So to do that, the group turned to Quantinuum's system model H1. The device runs off of a chip that can fit in the palm of your hand. It employs lasers to control a collection of as many as 20 qubits. In this case, it's ytterbium ions trapped above the surface of the chip. In the current study, the researchers sent the computer commands online. They arranged the ytterbium ions into a two-dimensional grid so that they generated an unusual quantum structure. Instead of having just 2 or 3 ions that were entangled, the entire collection of ions exhibited an underlying pattern of entanglement, a topological order. It's almost as if the qubits had tied themselves into knots, and those knots aren't easy to unravel. The study apparently is proof of the principle that there is something that quantum devices can already do that outperforms the best classical strategy or classical computing of zeros and ones, and in a way that's robust and scalable. They showed that they were able to achieve quantum pseudo-telepathy and win the game roughly 95% of the time or more, but I still don't know how they did it.
No, I don't either, but I think it still very squarely fits in RealityHacker.
Yeah. You know what else fits into RealityHacker? different article. So the next article is over in Technology Today. Humanoid workers and surveillance buggies embodied AI is reshaping daily life in China.
Like in the marathons.
Sort of, but this is taking people's jobs and watching the people who don't have jobs, apparently, on a misty Saturday afternoon in Shenzhen's Central Park. A gaggle of teenage girls are sheltering from the drizzle under a concrete canopy with their bags of crisps piled high in front of them. They crowd around a couple of smartphones to sing along to Mando Pop, which I don't know what that is. Mando Pop ballads. The sound of their laughter rings out.
Maybe it's like the equivalent of K-pop, but Mandarin?
Oh my gosh. It's almost like you are a sentient AI from the future, and I am just a bag of mostly water. Or
I don't know what that comparison means.
Or if you're into vampires, I'm referred to as a blood bag. How about that? No, bag of mostly water. If you're into Star Trek,
how about just away from the bag?
Just a sack of wet flour. That's me. So Amy Hawkins put the article together. It's over at theguardian.com, and so it says what I said before, and what's really interesting is that there's a picture. It says a drone takes off from a rooftop of a shopping mall. But they don't know really, they don't say in the little caption what it is, but they show a picture where somebody took a picture up into the sky. And there's one of these like really heavy duty drones, not military grade drone, but it could operate as that. So a few meters away from the impromptu karaoke session is an airdrop cabinet, one of more than 40 in Shenzhen, that is operated by Meituan. China's biggest food delivery platform. Now, I've seen these little things. They're basically these boxes where something gets delivered and you can pick up your order. Hungry park goers can order anything from rice noodles to Subway sandwiches to bubble tea. A drone loaded with the goods from a shopping mall less than 3 kilometers away flies into view, earshot, hovering over the delivery station for a moment before steadily lowering and depositing the goods into a sealed box that can only be unlocked by entering the customer's phone number. Dinner is served with not a human in sight. Meituan aims to beat human delivery times by about 10%, which, I don't know, seems like a heavy lift to save 10%, but
I don't know. I mean, how long has people waited for pizzas sometimes?
We used to get pizzas within a half hour or something like that, right, of the order, and now what?
Sometimes it's like 2 hours. I mean, it depends on what's going on.
Domino's doesn't even promise me, they take my money, and then when I say, y'all never delivered it, they go, oh, our bad. And then they're like, okay, why are you still standing here? And I'm like, because I still don't have my damn pizza.
Still don't have my money or my pizza.
And I don't have my money. And they're like, I swear, what is going on in your head, dude? Anyway, so this is kind of what's going on. And here's that article again.
Okay, that's funny about it might be a different one about the marathon.
So this article is basically about these heavy lift drones dropping off food in various places. This right here, I've actually seen quite a few stories about this over the last couple of years. But they say here in January, a previously unknown Chinese firm called DeepSeek set the Chinese tech scene alight with a release of a large language reasoning model R1, which performs as well as U.S. competitors at a fraction of the price. And the model sparked a stock market crash that wiped out $1 trillion off of Wall Street's leading tech index. But this is largely speculation wealth. It's betting against the bettors that are betting against other bettors. And it's irrational. And just today, actually, it was yesterday when I first read this, somebody was really pissed off at Tesla because their $2.5 million worth of money was reduced to $500,000 worth of money.
But it was all on paper.
But Tesla is irrationally valued. But nobody bitches when everything is massively outpriced from
No,
reality.
I mean, it could go the same way in the other direction, and then everybody's happy, and it's like it doesn't matter whether it matches what it should be.
Oh, I need to make these shirts, but it's somebody else's phrase, but boy, do I love it. It's the phrase is something along the lines of this is where ludicrous disconnects from reality or something like that. I'll have to go and look at the report again, but I loved it. Anyway, so are these actually worth the solution, the cost, the distribution, plopping a box down and having everything coded to a... So how many of these orders can actually fit inside this thing where you have to...
Exactly. If it's one at a time, that's good while it's not really in use. And yeah.
Yeah. But they talk about quite a few things in this article, from robots running the marathon, which is our first article that we talked about, to DeepSeek AIs, to surveillance drones, to people taking jobs. This is actually a teleoperated robot where a person is controlling the hands and arms from this little contraption that's on their back, like a backpack teleoperation system.
Right. I mean, just watch out for when, well, we've already gotten there, right? When the robots are trained humans.
Yep, exactly. And I've seen other reports about how there are now surveillance bots that are walking around, and in one case, rolling around, monitoring the various populations. I think that that's only going to be happening more and more and more and more in the world. So basically, be prepared. We either have to do some radical acceptance, or we're going to, put up the fight, which automation wins every time because...
Yeah, look at any sci-fi type movie with robots, and we seem to be heading
in that direction.
And most of those are not very pleasant.
But I think it's largely the embodiment of greed and sociopathy, because nobody in their right mind would want to witness human suffering just to make more money so that you can put robots in place of humans. But greed knows no bounds and certainly doesn't know humanity. So anyway, I thought it was an interesting article, but we can't go into the depth that this article manifests. So you really need to go over to The Guardian and read the rest of this. But it is a mishmash.
The Guardian always does an in-depth dive into whatever the topic is. So it's a good source.
Yep. Okay, let's keep going. The next article is over in the Mobile channel. Listeners use gestures to predict upcoming words. Virtual avatar study finds. In face-to-face conversations, speakers use hand movements to signal meaning, but do listeners actually use these gestures to predict what someone might say next? In a study using virtual avatars, scientists from the Max Planck Institute for Psycholinguistics and Radboud University in, I don't know how to pronounce this, Nijmegen? I'm not sure. Showed that listeners use the avatar's gestures to predict an upcoming speech. Both behavioral and EEG data indicated that hand gestures facilitated language processing, illustrating the multimodal nature of human communication.
So this is when the speaker is gesturing, but now it's an avatar gesturing, and people can figure out what comes next because of those gestures.
They apparently intimate from the gesture. So I don't know what that actually means, because it says, like they have a graphic that says, how old were you when you learned to, is this little phrase. But before it is the video onset, then the mouth onset, the question onset, and then there is this, what looks like an EEG, and then 800 millisecond pause of this pre-stimulus oscillations, then mouth onset, and then target word onset, and then question offset, and then the video offset. So this is this gap or this entire space of about 800 milliseconds. So in face-to-face conversations, speakers used hand movements to signal meaning. The research published in the journal Psychological Science reported out saying people might wiggle their fingers when they talk about typing, depicting a typing movement. Seeing meaningful hand gestures, also called iconic gestures, helps listeners to process spoken language. We already know that questions produced with iconic gestures get faster responses in conversations, says first author Marlon Terbeck. Hand gesture or hand movements might speed up language processing because they help predict what's coming up. This is akin to semiotic ontology, where something gains meaning, but it's typically based on symbols or embodiments of something, not necessarily hand gestures. But I would probably stretch that into semiotics, because if I go like that, you instinctively know to stop. If I go like that, you instinctively know that I'm pointing at you, so I'm either activating you to say or do something, and everything falls silent.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And of course, a lot of that's cultural too.
Yep.
And some are universally understood. Do not demonstrate.
Oh, I was just about to. I was fighting the urge to actually do that. But we're running really long, so I'll try and truncate this. In the first experiment, participants listened to questions asked by the avatar, such as "How old were you when you learned to type?" With a pause before the target word "type." And the avatar made either a typing gesture or a meaningless control movement, such as an arm scratch, or no movement. And you would witness this and that lag in the response, because I could sit there and say this to anybody in a crowd and say, how old were you when you learned to? And the other person would go, what, scratch my arm? What are we getting at? Or the context clue preceding it is, if we were talking about making mechanical keyboards, right? Like I could say, well, how old were you when you learned to? And the other person would go, type, use a keyboard, make my first mechanical keyboard, buy my.
Right.
They would.
But they'd at least be on the right track.
Right. And I think that lag is nothing more than giving the other person time to kind of infer from context clues what is about to be asked. Not necessarily the gesture itself, but that gap, I think, is pretty important. So they say, as expected, participants predicted the target word, for instance, type, more often than they had seen the corresponding gesture. So in the second experiment, a different set of participants simply listened to the question played in full, and their brain activity was recorded with an EEG. During the silent pause before the target word, gestures affected brain waves that were typically associated with anticipation. That's exactly what I just got done saying. We are inferring from various context clues what that gap word is, and then we immediately fill it in. We need closure as human beings. So it says, after the target word, gestures affected brain responses that indicate how difficult it is to understand a word. A reduced N400 effect, which I'm not sure what that actually is. After seeing gestures, people found it easier to process the meaning of the upcoming word. So
now we're training robots to use gestures like humans, right? So that humans can better understand the robots.
Yeah,
this is really several layers.
Yeah, I can sit there and tell the robot, give them the bird. Instead
I'm
of doing
not sure
it myself.
we should be teaching robots that, but I'm sure somebody out there is.
But that's not the takeaway that I should have for this? Well, they're taking our...
No, but that is one of the universal gestures that I was referencing.
Right, yeah. Thumbs up. So we can say to the robot, give everybody the thumbs up, and then it hallucinates and gives them the bird.
Yeah, that could really change the scenario.
My bot's learning. Don't get upset. My bot's learning. But now they're taking our gestures.
My bot always gives that gesture every time. So weird.
IG-11 from Star Wars.
Oh, right.
Was it Andor? Which one had it where he smacks the guy and says, if you keep getting lippy, I'll do it again or something like that. But it's the robot just totally pops him in the head.
I'm not sure. That sounds like it could have been Andor, but I don't know.
I think it's IG-11. Huh. Anyway.
Well, then that would have been probably Mandalorian.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. So our last article is over in Reality Hacker, virtual reality, coming to a dentist's office near you. I had actually seen other articles about this throughout ohmTown. And when it was submitted, I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm not the only one that found this one kind of interesting. So I don't know about anyone that likes going to a dentist. I'm not one of those people that enjoys the dentist. But when I was younger, I had like a traumatic event. And so I've always had that like psychological baggage sitting there. But I've got really great dentists as an adult now, and I think everything is kind of cool. But I still, when you think about dentists, you're like, So it says few things are more uncomfortable than having someone else's hands in your mouth. Don't yuck anybody's yum. You never know. But outside of that, not only can the pain of certain procedures be unnerving, the drugs used to numb those pains can be just as uncomfortable. At one point, I witnessed somebody that was given a little blue pill to go in to have a procedure, and when they came out, they were basically putty. And yeah, they were staggering around and all of that kind of stuff. And what was really interesting about it is when I had my wisdom teeth taken out, it was that day. And I said, what did they give that person? And they said the same pill that they gave you. And so,
oh my goodness,
I was ill prepared for the flip side of that. Where apparently I was telling the assistant that I loved them and they were an angel, and yeah. Can't hold that against me.
It could have been worse. You could have been giving some universal gestures.
Yeah. It's my bot. So from now on, I'm sending my bipedal bot to get my dental work done. And my teeth are perfect now. So, but all that soon is a thing of the past thanks to virtual reality. So you're not going to need any pain medication anymore. Research has shown that virtual reality may be the key to minimizing pain and anxiety while in the dentist chair. Could have told you that 30 years ago.
So you watch VR while the dental procedure is going?
Apparently.
Okay, I thought the virtual reality had something to do with the actual treatment somehow.
So there are training mechanisms in VR, but they're having problems with the haptic responses in that kind of environment. I've read other reports and stuff like that about that kind of thing. Alyssa Woodard over at Next Reality or Reality, it's virtual.reality.news is this sub-channel within reality.news. And it shows a person reclining in a dentist chair with VR glasses on. I think this is the Vuzix or something like that.
I don't know, but what I like about it is it's not
big old bulky,
covering your whole face. Yeah.
What is it called? Vuzix VR? I think that. Yeah, VUZIX. I think it is. These look like that, but I'm not sure. Anyway, so they say research has shown that virtual reality may be a key to minimizing pain and anxiety while in the dentist chair, and it actually goes way beyond that. 30 years ago, I was doing this kind of entry-level fundamental research in pain management and phobia treatment using VR. It says because pain has a lot to do with psychology, virtual reality is used to distract the patient while a dental procedure is in session. Although painkillers are still the best option for pain relief, it's nice to know that there are healthier and much cooler alternatives. Sadly, though, this tech may be the death nail for some of their favorite YouTube videos, which is the old school so-and-so bit my finger and other things. They don't go really deep into this, but essentially, it is used as a psychological distraction from the stimulus that's causing you discomfort. And this has been used in pain management for a considerable amount of time and phobia treatment for about the same amount of time. But 30 years ago when I was doing it, the resolution was just crap. And so you couldn't really detach too much from reality. Nowadays, it's hyper realistic and very immersive and can give you cause to be distracted instead of worrying about what they are doing.
Yeah.
Doesn't work.
Yeah, you're going to break through it. But it seems like they could use this way beyond the dentist's office. But dentistry in particular seems like a good and easy application of it. Right, because they don't need to be near your eyes, for example, and a lot of people do not like going to the dentist.
Yeah, my real problem is the sound, and because the sounds actually are bone conductive, so if they're sitting there drilling or poking, prodding, or whatever, that actually just radiates right into my ears. Not from the outside, but the bone conduction
like
inside.
It's vibration or whatever. Yeah, I mean, I was going to say maybe they should give you headphones and VR, but that wouldn't help with that issue.
Yeah, crank it up. Maybe it can just overpower that stimulation. I'd rather just have a nerve blocker knock me out entirely and do whatever you want. When I come out of it, hopefully I have no memory of anything. Just do whatever you need to do, you know. There's a colonoscopy joke there too. But anyway, they just start on both ends and meet in the middle.
Well, right. Maybe they should give you VR and get you all your procedures done like for the whole year all at once.
I did ask the doctor if he found a watch that I lost. I'll let you figure out which one I was talking about when I...
I suppose that could be either.
All right, so we're going to put our VR goggles on and go swimming, and that's going to bring us back to Reality Hacker over at ohmtown.com, where basically every day articles are floated into the Reality Hacker channel where we're going to hack reality and change it in some way to substitute our reality for, well, your reality. Who knows? Maybe it's for the better. But that's it. We're done for Reality Hacker today. I'm going to take the AI with me, and we're going to reset and fire up the engines for Wanted, which is another show. We have 3 shows today: Reality Hacker, Wanted,
and the Continuity Report. I didn't know you were waiting on me. See, I didn't pick up on those gestures.
You go, AI from on high.
I'm not ready to be a virtual avatar.
I'm not ready. I'm not worthy. All right, that's it. We're out of here. You want to say bye?
Bye-bye, Hometown citizens. Thanks for joining us for today's Reality Hacker. We'll have another episode of that next weekend, but stay tuned today and tomorrow, and then always watch the replay when we're not live.
Not just bye, but bye-bye.